I started, launched, and sold the first hemp-based period care company. So this is a little bit of what goes into starting a period care company. Backstory, my period care company is the first using hemp fiber. So if you want to do something different like we did, you're going to have to start with product development, and that's to prove that the technology is actually novel and works. So it's going to start in the lab, and you're going to do basically building of prototypes to make sure the performance is there, that it's competitive, and that it's able to work in the commercial setting. From product development, once you prove that, you go to trial lines. That's when you just make a little bit more product. So in the prototyping stage, maybe you made 10, now you're making 50 to a couple hundred. And now you're able to go and do some human trials. So you have your lab data, you have your human trials, and that's when you really see how it works in the wild. And from there, if everything works out, it's time to go into commercialization. Now this is the most difficult part because no manufacturer wants to work with you because you're a startup and you're not a billion-dollar company. So you have to, number one, convince them and say that you're gonna be amazing, show them all these projections. And once they agree, you also have to prove that your product is gonna work on their lines. They don't wanna take risks and hurt their equipment to use your fiber or your specifications. So once you prove that, you can finally do your first trials. Now keep in mind, any product manufacturing is not gonna work the first time. You're gonna have to do it over and over again to make sure the product is exactly how it needs to be. You're gonna have to make some tweaks. You might have to change things you don't wanna change because of what the equipment allows you to do, but go through that process and then finally you'll be able to have your product. And from there, you need to make sure it's registered with the FDA. So period care needs to be produced in an FDA regulated and registered facility, and the product itself needs to be registered. And if it's a tampon, it needs to go through the FDA approval process. Once all of that is done, you can finally sell legally in the United States. And if you're in other countries, there's other regulatory bodies that you need to think about. There's a lot of barriers to entry in this market, but it is such an important place to be innovating.